Hello Year 2. Today we're going to be reading another story from this book called Sea Stories. Today's story is called The Selkie, and it's a story from the Shetland Islands. Every evening, William took a walk down to the beach. He lived on an island far out in the northern sea, and all sorts of treasures washed up onto its shores. But one night, he saw an amazing sight. By the light of the midsummer moon, a group of sea people were dancing on the sand. When they spotted him, they ran for their sealskins, pulled them on, and plunged into the water. But one wasn't quick enough. William grabbed the sealskin before she could reach it. "No!" cried the sea maiden. "Oh, please," she said, begging him to give it back. But she was far more beautiful than anyone William had ever seen. And, although he knew it was unkind to keep her sealskin, he couldn't bear to let the sea maiden go. "Come with me," he said, wrapping his coat around her. When they arrived at his cottage, William sat the girl by the fire and brought her food and drink. Then, while she was eating, he slipped out to hide her sealskin. The Selkie, for so she was, knew that she had to stay, for without her salty sealskin, she could never return to the ocean. She never gave up hope, though, that one day William would give it back to her. Then she could go home to the welcoming sea. In time, she and William were married, and in time, they had 3 sons. They were just like any other boys, apart from the fact that each had a flap of skin, like a web, between their fingers, and another between their toes. Every evening, the sea maiden went down to the shore. As she sang to the seals, they came in close to listen. But she never set foot in the sea, for without her salty sealskin, she knew she couldn't last long in the frozen waters. One morning, while William was out fishing, the sea maiden decided to mend some broken nets. She went to the boathouse and pulled a dusty net down from a high shelf. But as it tumbled into her hands, she saw her sealskin. With a cry of joy, she held it to her face and breathed in the salt smell of the ocean. Then she ran home and hid it under the bed. That evening, having fed them an excellent meal, she kissed her husband and her 3 fine sons. "I'm going down to the shore," she said. But she didn't tell them what she was wearing under her clothes. For she'd found her salty sealskin, and the ocean was calling. "At last," she cried, tearing her clothes off and plunging into the ice-cold water. "I'm coming home." And every seal for miles around came to join her. Glancing back to shore one final time, the sea maiden saw her husband and sons rushing down to the beach. "Don't go, my bonny lass," cried William. "Please don't leave us." But though the sea maiden loved them one and all, she had no choice. "I have given you the best years of my life, dear husband," she called out over the waves. "But I am a Selkie, a creature of the sea, and now that the salt is back in my blood, I shall never go back to land." And with that, she dived beneath the waves and was gone. Number 1. Why didn't William want to let the sea maiden go? Number 2. What do Selkies need to be able to stay in the sea? Number 3. How were William and the Selkie's sons different from other boys. And as a challenge, what do the two sea stories have in common? So today's sea story, the Selkie, and the last sea story we read, the Merman, what do those two sea stories have in common?